Listen carefully. At 2 p.m. on UPSC Prelims day, thousands of aspirants walk into the CSAT paper with confidence. And by 2:38 p.m., many of them are psychologically collapsing inside the hall. Not because CSAT is impossible, not because they are weak students, but because they emotionally lost control under time pressure. Modern CSAT is no longer just a maths or reasoning or reading comprehension. It is time management under panic, decision making under uncertainty, and emotional survival under pressure. So, today I will show you exactly how to attempt to CSAT inside the hall. What destroys aspirants psychologically. I will show you how toppers manage pressure. I will show you and how to survive the paper strategically. This is your CSAT exam hall operating system. Most aspirants think CSAT starts at 2 p.m. Wrong. CSAT starts psychologically much earlier. Actual CSAT is starting 2:30 p.m. CSAT starts psychologically much earlier. After GS paper 1, cutoff discussions begin. Panic spreads. Under uncertainty increases and emotional exhaustion quietly enters the nervous system. The students enter CSAT emotionally unstable. That is dangerous. Listen carefully. Do not discuss GS answers, expected cutoffs, mark predictions, or fear narratives before CSAT because anxiety spreads socially and CSAT punishes unstable emotions brutally. That is why don't discuss. Second important point is never enter CSAT thinking like I must solve everything, etc. etc. That mindset destroys time structure. Instead of that, think like this: I only need controlled qualifying marks. That changes your psychologically. That changes your psychology completely. That is the thing you have to do actually. Now listen carefully. The real CSAT collapse usually begins around 2:48 p.m. Why? Because students suddenly realize RC passages, that is reading comprehension passages, are longer. Data interpretation is consuming time. Quant looks unfamiliar and the paper feels heavier than expected. Then panic begins. And once panic starts, reading speed falls, comprehension weakens, elimination collapses, and emotional guessing increases. This is where most aspirants loses the paper psychologically. Their eyes continue moving across the page, but understanding shuts down internally. So that is the real CSAT danger zone. The biggest mistake CSAT aspirants make in this, they try solving CSAT sequentially from question number 1 to question number 8 emotionally. That is the wrong approach. CSAT is not designed for emotionally. CSAT is not designed for emotional continuity. UPSC intentionally mixes easy reading comprehension, brutal quant, moderate reasoning, and time consuming data interpretation. Your job is not to emotionally react, your job is tempo control. CSAT is not cleared by crossing random attempt numbers of the questions. It is cleared by controlled accuracy. That is why you have to need the three round CSAT system. What is the three round CSAT system? That is that is why you need the three round CSAT system. What is the three round CSAT system? The round one is 2:30 to 3:10 p.m. This is called as round one. This is the easy extraction zone. Your object is confidence, momentum, and fast qualifying accumulation. In this round, you have to attempt easy reading comprehension passages, direct reasoning questions, and familiar quant questions, and short solvable questions. In this particular round, you have to avoid ego battles with difficult mathematics questions. And remember this carefully. If one question consumes more than 60 to 70 seconds and clarity is absent, mark it and move forward. You have to mark it and move forward. One dangerous question can destroy rhythm, confidence, and emotional stability. You have to always remember each question carries same marks, whether it is short question, whether it is simple question, whether it is small question, whether it is difficult question, whether it is very difficult question. So you have to focus on low hanging fruits. By the end of the round one, you should ideally secure around 35 to 45 safe marks psychologically. That gives breathing space. That gives around 3:22 p.m. You are stuck between one reading comprehension passage, one data interpretation set, and one familiar quant question. Which one should you prioritize? You have to think. Comes to the round two. That is 3:10 minutes to 3:10 p.m. to 3:50 p.m. Now the real CSAT begins. This is the panic management zone. Here, reading comprehension fatigue increases, time pressure rises, and emotional comparison begins. You hear in the classroom, in the exam hall, pages flipping, mental calculations accelerating uncontrollably, students moving rapidly. Do not react emotionally because many students are also panicking internally. So now understand the major CSAT traps here. The trap number one is ego solving. What is ego solving? Students think I studied this chapter, I must solve this, etc. etc. That is wrong. In CSAT, time is more valuable than ego. If you struck up with a hard question, the time is running out, rhythm will be changed. So that is why you have to move. Going to trap two, that is reading comprehension overthinking. Students import outside knowledge into the reading comprehension passages. That is dangerous. CSAT tests passage logic, not your ideology. You have to put your boundary within the given structured reading comprehension passage, not is you, not your ideology. The trap number three is data interpretation time leakage. One DA set can quietly consume 7 to 8 minutes. In that time, you have to always ask, is this set worth the time or not? Otherwise, if not worth the time, you don't waste time. You have to move forward. The trap number four here is speed panic. What is speed panic? When students panic, they increase speed without increasing clarity. That destroys accuracy. Inside the hall, panic is contagious. Now listen very carefully. CSAT is not cleared by solving maximum questions. It is cleared by intelligent selection. That is the real secret here. Suppose let's take one quant question looks familiar, but calculations are exploding. Leave it. Suppose one reading comprehension elimination is strong and two options remain. Control risk is acceptable. CSAT rewards probability management, not emotional aggression. Comes to the reading comprehension rule. If passage's understanding is clear and other tone is visible, trust the passage. Do not overcomplicate. Comes to the quant rule. If setup itself feels messy, equations expand rapidly, or time is bleeding, exit early from that. That saves the paper psychologically. The last 40 minutes, that is 3:50 p.m. to 4:30 p.m., what you have to do, what you have to do is, this is the most dangerous zone. This is where desperation, cut off fear, and emotional guessing explode. Students suddenly think I must increase attempts and then they destroy accuracy completely. Listen carefully. If no elimination exists, no conceptual intuition exists, and no clarity exists, please leave the question. There is no shame in leaving uncertainty. The real danger is ego based over attempting. When you go through ego based over attempting, the amount of chances of qualifying CSAT will be decreased randomly, significantly. Now, the final rule here is never feel OMR emotionally. Every year, students lost qualifying marks because bubbles shifted, sequence broke, panic increased, careless errors due to check alignment, skipped rows, question numbers carefully. And one more important point here is do not suddenly attempt 8 to 10 blind guesses in the final minutes. That is desperation, not strategy. So listen carefully. CSAT is not testing how intelligent you are. It is testing whether your mind stable under pressure. Inside the exam hall, the winner is not the fastest student. It is the student who controls emotions, manages time intelligently, avoids panic, and survives uncertainly structurally. On May 24th, do not enter CSAT trying to become a hero. Enter the paper trying to remain emotionally stable for next 120 minutes. That is how CSAT is cleared. In CSAT, emotional stability is a competitive advantage. You have to remember one thing carefully, that is, inside CSAT, panic spreads faster than mathematics. All the very best. Stay precise. I will see you after the examination.